And we are live. All right, now, this is about my article that I had recently written about. It's called New Hexonomics, Discounted T-Shares, and Parallel Hex Staking Strategy. Now, the basic idea is that I believe that we're going to have value on two different chains. We're going to have one on Ethereum, and we're going to have it on Pulsechain. And it creates a new system called the Hex Economy, or as I like to call it, New Hexonomics. So we're dividing basically our liquidity in two systems, the Ethereum side and the Pulsechain side. And there's going to be development opportunities on basically both sides because we're going to need to be able to support both EHEX and the BHEX price. Now, I believe that most of the future developments could be on Pulsechain because most of the opportunities will be there, but it doesn't mean that there won't be opportunities to support EHEX because there's still a lot of liquidity and a massive amount of energy that currently exists on Ethereum. Now, there's also something that we have to know. For example, there's certain protocols that exist on both chains. So think like Hex staking. We have the Hedron and Icosa protocols, and we have Maximus DAO. Well, right now we have currently that are, for the Hex economy, exclusive on Ethereum, something like Fiat. While on the Pulse chain side, we have protocols like PulseX, PHux, PulseRate, Daytona Finance, and right now there's about 17 other protocols out there that are currently out there on Pulsechain. We have plenty more coming out right now. Now, another thing I also want to speak about was what I call discounted T-shares and Hex purchasing parity. And it kind of works like the way that exchange rates work with actual currencies. So let's say you bring your United States dollars to China, and you actually can increase how much you can buy with your dollars there, or basically increase the amount of quantity of goods and services that you can have, or it can just be simply cheaper in terms of dollars because you're buying it with yuan, and you can buy a lot of dollars with it. You get a lot of yuan for your dollars. Well, there's something very similar to that right now going on in the Hex economy. So right now there's going to probably be a premium on the Pulse Hex side of things, which is not a bad thing, by the way. But we basically have two of the same contracts. One is on Pulsechain, one's on Ethereum. Now, currently, as it currently stands, is Pulsechain currently is a system that's meant to favor the hexagons. So it does make a lot of sense that there would be a PHEX premium. But one of the things that people don't talk about is as the price of Hex goes higher and higher and higher, it also becomes much more expensive to actually get more T-shares in terms of dollars. And so this is where I believe that eventually, if EHEX is left at neglect of being purchased off the market, two things happen. A, the T-shares on the Ethereum side will actually be being at discount already, and that simply just comes from the fact that nobody's taking up T-shares from the Ethereum side. So you're going to be able to get an interest rate on there, and that can actually create an opportunity for, say, when PHEX goes up in price, that eventually can drain downwards down to the Ethereum side. So as we can say, the PHEX and EHEX currently have trading pair that creates a purchasing power parity. So one of the things I want to look at is the staking day of 1314, and the trading ratio is roughly about 1 PHEX gives us about 2 EHEX at the moment. So let's say if you were trying to stake with the Ethereum mainnet T-share price, which was at $251.41. We're on the Pulsechain T-share price, it was $668.18, and that's just to buy in dollars. But let's say you were trying to buy T-shares with your PHEX on the Ethereum side, where basically you trade your PHEX for EHEX. Well, at that time, it would have been actually worth $119. And so what would have said if you took your EHEX and tried to stake it, it would have cost you $251. But if you sold your PHEX down to Ethereum, then it would have actually cost you $119 to get that T-share. Now, another thing that we also keep in mind, it's also hard to push EHEX up right now to the Pulsechain side, because if you were trying to buy T-shares with your EHEX, it would currently cost $1,406. And by the way, if you want to look at more details, you should definitely check out my website. I'll put in the links in the below. Now, another strategy that nobody's also talking about is parallel hex staking strategy. And so the idea behind it is basically we have the two standard contracts. One's operating on Ethereum, one's operating on Pulsechain. And so let's say you're somebody like myself who has both bags of both PHEX and EHEX and wants to hold on to both. Then what this says is like, okay, whatever new stakes we create or should create, we should actually have a timing system going on. So let's say what would be the best time to basically unstake your Ethereum Hex? And that would be actually in the middle of a bear market, or basically when the chain is basically being underutilized compared to when everything's at all-time highs or making new all-time highs. And so we can actually reasonably time this. So it would be somewhere between about 6 months before the Litecoin halving and the Bitcoin halving. And so that would actually be the best opportunity to get the cheapest amount of unstaking in terms of Ethereum on the Ethereum blockchain. So if I was to look at what years that were very good to say try to unstake your EHEX, I was looking at an EHEX unstake would have been good at 2023, 2024. Then we would look at 2027, 2028. Then we're looking at 2031, 2032. And 2035 and 2036 would have been the ideal times to actually set up your unstaking opportunities to come about. Now, so let's say how should I manage it with my PHEX side, right? Well, if you're going to have an unstake come out on the Ethereum side during the bear market, and we know it's not a good idea to do during a bull market or when things are going in all-time highs, the best time to actually have your Pulsechain PHEX come out would be during a bull market, when basically where Pulsechain is going to be a favorable system to the hexagons, in which it's going to cost less money to actually unstake it versus the opportunity cost on Ethereum. Anyways, that's all I got to say. Like I said, check out the comment notes below. You can read more on my thoughts on my website. Thank you.